Alrighty, welcome everyone to the inaugural episode of Did UFC That? Because we love a pun at showusyourtips.net. Daggy with you, joined by our resident MMA guru, GT. How are you, mate?
Yeah, good, mate. Enjoying a bit of a little break in the rain for a while, but let's get into a nice new show and let's see if we know what we're talking about for a change.
Yeah, so we, and I'll get you just get your mic up a little bit, but who are we and why should you care? That's a good question. We will be doing this hopefully for every UFC pay-per-view coming up in the new year. So a bit of a trial run here. Greg, who are you and why should we care about your opinion?
I have been an MMA tragic, predominantly UFC, for what I worked out was the last 16 years. The first card I ever watched was Brock Lesnar Frank Mir 1, which I worked out was UFC 81, and I wouldn't have missed more than a dozen cards since that time. Saw it, fell in love with it, and I've just kind of gone with it from there.
Yep, very knowledgeable. That's the idea of this is not only just to hopefully produce some interesting content, but find a couple of tips or bets we can put together, a multi, very quickly, most enjoyable fight night last week. I thoroughly enjoyed the whole lot. I don't think there was a boring fight in the card from...
It was from Macau.
Macau, yeah. Yep. Any takeaways from that?
It was a very surprising card. It was interesting being able to watch a card on a Saturday night instead of having to try and adjust for the usual international time slots. But no, it worked out really well, and Peter Yan actually did not start slowly for a change.
No.
He's a big proponent of giving away the first round or two to try and get his reads, but no, he came straight out like a gun and basically swept the cards.
Yep. It was, that was a dominant performance.
Yeah, it was. The whole card was not the most touted of cards, but definitely overperformed.
Yeah, absolutely. It was most enjoyable. But anyway, as I said, let's get into 310, which it comes to us from Vegas, T-Mobile Arena. As per usual in there, and the headliner is Alexandra Pantoja against their debuting Kai Asakura. First title match for a debutant in about 12 years, I believe. The last one was 2013, off the top of my head. What's your initial thoughts on this one?
It's going to be a really interesting fight. Those who don't know Kai Asakura will know him really quickly once he starts. He does not start slow. He's a bundle of energy. He's got boxing and kickboxing of the highest caliber. He's one of only two people to have ever knocked out Kyoji Horiguchi, and those who know that he is one of the GOATs of Japanese MMA. So he's got very good wrestling and jiu-jitsu. He's never been submitted in his career. And he poses a risk of hurting Pantoja, which not a lot of people can do, especially at such a lightweight. Pantoja is incredibly well-rounded. We've seen it from his, 3 fights with Brandon Moreno, his 2 fights with Royval. He's virtually cleared out the division multiple times over. So it's interesting to see how he goes against a fresh face. He hasn't really had one of them in quite a while, so
yeah, it'll
be interesting. But do we go into a prediction now, or should we leave it?
Yeah, well, obviously it's going to be lightning action. How do you see this fight panning out?
I think Asakura will hurt him at different stages, but I think just the well-roundedness of Pantoja, he will predominantly try and get it to the ground when he realises the striking won't work as well. So I see Pantoja winning it. Probably a 48-47 decision.
It goes 5 rounds?
Yep. I say it going long, and if Pantoja will pull it out, I'd say it'll be by a decision utilising that wrestling quite heavily.
Should that happen, where to next? Moreno's made the comeback.
I think Royval will be next in line.
Go back again? Yeah.
Yep. Unless they throw them back together in yet another fight. But I think Royval will get it because Moreno has had many chances at the belt and has won it, lost it. Royval has not had as much exposure at the top.
The semi-main, very interesting. Shavkat Rakhmonov against Ian Machado Garry, who surprisingly who feels long odds to me. What's your takeaway, or what you've made of this fight?
I'm excited to see how this goes. I mean, when was the last time they did one of the contenders someone's must go? Was it Adesanya and Costa?
Yep.
Was the last time I can think of. Very similar sort of to the last fight where you've got Shavkat, who's had 18 fights, 18 finishes, as well-rounded as you can get, being that he's had 10 subs and 8 knockouts. And Garry has talked a massive game with his jiu-jitsu. We haven't got to see it yet.
No.
It will most definitely be tested against Shovcut. I don't see Shovcut changing his game plan from what he did with Wonderboy. He struck with him for a little while and then went, here's the path of least resistance. I'll take it. I'm stunned to see him at $1.20 odd that he is, and seeing Garry so far outsider. The size will be interesting because Garry is not a small 170 by any stretch of the imagination.
No.
He's a big man. Shovcut actually has a reach on him, which I found quite interesting, even though he's given up 3 inches of height. I struggle to see Garry striking outmatching Shovcut that much where he can't just flick the switch and go, okay, I'll take you down and make your life miserable. I don't know if Shovcut keeps that 100% finish rate, but I struggle to see him losing.
You think goes 3 rounds decision?
That's what I'm leaning towards.
Okay.
Unless Garry has just completely overhyped his ground game, which is quite possible because he overhypes everything.
I was going to say, we just haven't seen it.
But he has been able to back it up.
Yeah.
So it'll be an interesting watch, but I don't see him with too much of a chance, being that there is that break glass in case of emergency that Shovcut does have.
You think decision, so no submission, nothing else. We're going decision here.
Yeah, I'm going down the decision route. That'll be marked up quite a bit too with Shovcut's finish rate.
We get to the heavyweight bout of the night, third from the top, which is Cyril Gane, Alexander Volkov. $3.60 Volkov, $1.28 Cyril Gane. I mean, the only thing is really, what does it all mean? Like, this heavyweight division's so exposed. Whoever wins this...
It is a number one title.
Number one contender.
Number one contender fight for the interim championship as it stands.
But we've seen Aspinall's a level above these guys. John Jones, should he ever fight again, is potentially... I'd say if Pereira came up, he's a level above as well. But what are you presented with here, and what does it mean down the road?
What I've been hearing is a lot of discourse about Aspinall not wanting to fight Gane, despite the fact that Gane actually said no to fighting him twice and then went off and decided to do a movie instead of taking one of the opportunities. His striking is incredible. He's so fluent, so light on his feet. The trope of moving like a middleweight is quite accurate. But coming into the size, Volkov is a big man. Is he 6'7", I believe?
Yes.
Yep, 6'7". So he's got 3 inches off an already huge Gane. I think the line's a bit too disproportionate. Volkov is tried and tested, whereas Gane is still fairly new into his MMA career. He made a big splash, but he's come back down to earth, winning 3 of his last 5. I'd actually have some money on Volkov.
From a power point of view, you think it's worth the $3 and see what you can get by. Can you get better if we've got a finish there, an early round finish, or?
Yeah, I'm kind of liking him for a sub. We saw, it was against Jones, but we saw that Gane had absolutely nothing when it came to a ground game.
Yeah.
And Volkov does have that element to him. So it could quite possibly go the route of a club and sub, where he knocks him down, jumps on the back and tries to knock in a rear naked or a guillotine or something like that. So I'd be interested to see the market for Volkov by sub.
Next up, we've got Bryce Mitchell and Kron Gracie in, to be honest, a fight that would struggle to main event most fight nights. But here we are on this card. Kron has not looked impressive in his time to date. What do you make of this one?
What the fuck is really all that comes to mind. It, as you said, it probably shouldn't be on a main card of a fight night, let alone main event.
To me, this is a prelim.
This is the curse of the Gracie name, as well as Bryce Mitchell doing his crazy, weird stuff that he tends to do, and he does garner attention despite having virtually no striking. In saying that, he may look like a Golden Glove fighter coming up against Crone. We saw Crone when he was up against Charles Jourdain, and his fighting technique involved Imanari rolling and pulling guard once Charles came within 6 foot of him. So this is just weird. There is nothing that makes any sense about it. Having a look on Tapology earlier, Bryce Mitchell is ranked 13th. Kron Gracie is currently sitting at 106th. there is nothing that makes any sense about it, and it could make for some quite fun scrambles. But how we're going to get there, the preview to it, if either of these two have a mic in front of them, it's going to get real weird real quick. I wouldn't want to touch a bet on this with a 10-foot pole.
Yeah.
Bryce Mitchell by sub seems most likely because he's had that MMA experience, whereas Crone does not. The one advantage he has is that Bryce won't want to hurt him.
Yeah.
Because Bryce has never hurt anyone in an octagon.
Yeah.
Or of a cage of any description. He will try and take him down and punch his face in, but standing up, he's got nothing. So it could quite possibly be a who gets on top. I would be throwing money on fight ends by sub either way.
Okay.
That there's not going to be a knockout. I don't think either of them are capable of going the distance.
You might get a decent
subbed.
price. You might get $6 or $7 second round sub.
Yeah, going the overs wouldn't be a bad shout, depending on what that actually comes out at.
Yeah. Before that, we get to the opener, which is Landwehr and Doho Choi, featherweight bout as well. Pronounced favourite here, Landwehr. What have you made of this one?
Going from that absolute chaos, we go to this level of chaos, which will just be fun.
Yeah. A great opener. And UFC have done a great job with picking the right openers of late, I reckon.
Yep. To open a main card, this is exactly what you want. I'd be surprised if this goes more than halfway through the second round.
Mm-hmm.
They are both absolutely nuts. Both have power. Both quite enjoy getting punched in the face, which is something I can't quite relate to. But Nate by knockout is by far the most likely occurrence, but Duho does have nitro in his hands as well. So I think this is just going to be some rock'em sock'em robots, and whoever connects hardest, quickest is going to get the job done pretty early and have a good night.
We get to the prelims, which are also fantastic. Let's go Randy Brown. Brian Battle kicks us off here on the official prelims. In a welterweight bout. What have you made of this one?
It's kind of a mix because Brian Battle has been incredible of late.
Yeah.
I wasn't entirely sold on him to start with after he came off, was it the Ultimate Fighter? But he's been growing leaps and bounds very quickly. This is going to be probably his biggest test. Randy Brown is a very, very big man for the weight division. And basically any of all the options could be in play here. This would be the sort of fight that you'd have a look at the odds, and whatever is longest price, you still wouldn't feel terrible about sticking some money on it.
$1.40 Brian Battle, $2.85 Randy Brown as of today.
I would hazard a guess when the market drops, but Brown by sub is going to be the longest odds out of it all.
Mm-hmm.
But even then, he has done the club and sub occasionally himself. He's got absolute power in his hands. The Battle is a bit of a mix of that controlled chaos plus a sniper. So I would be going Brian Battle by knockout, but with very minimal conviction in it.
Movsar Evloev and Aljamain Sterling. Aljo back again. How are you lining these two up? Last time we saw Aljo was getting the win over Kelvin Qatar back in, it's a long time ago, April. Jesus.
Yeah. This fight being second fight into the prelims because fuck Aljo, I guess.
Pretty much.
There is no reason that this fight should be sitting here when you've got Crone Gracie fighting on the main card.
Right.
It makes no sense. The UFC really has a thing against Aljo after he told them he couldn't fight on 6 weeks' notice after defending his belt.
Are you suggesting Dana's vindictive?
I would never say such a thing, but yes. Movsar is incredible at what he does. He could be the final form version of Aljo with some better striking. That's one part that Aljo has always been sort of lacking in. And from history, round 3 Movsar finish is almost a certainty. He turns into a mythical fighter in round 3, and that's when he does most of his damage. He normally is ahead on the cards going into round 3 and doesn't sit on his lead.
Yeah.
He then goes, okay, let's finish this now. I'm bored. So I think the first couple of rounds could be close with Aljo on the back foot, and then Mozart will find a finish in some way, shape, or form.
In the third. Mm-hmm. Lovely. $1.44 Mozart, $2.75 Sterling. Then we get to Vicente Luque, if I said that right, and Themba Gorimbo.
Luque. This is a show-out fight for Gorimbo. He's one of those prospects that since he got the backing from The Rock and purchased a house because he did not have a follow to his
he's
name.
the guy. That's right.
He is the guy. This is the UFC's throwing him in with a well past his prime Luque, who in reality probably should not be fighting anymore.
Yeah.
He still puts up an effort. He definitely goes for it. He does not hold back, but his skills have kind of abated him at this point in time. And this will most likely be a 3-round decision where Gorimbo either has him against the fence or has him in guard and does not a lot with it. He's not the most exciting fighter. However, he does have quite a strong wrestling background. And that is one area that Luque quite lacks, aside from the fact that his chin is gone. Gorimbo won't hit him all that much. He'll take the path of least resistance. And it'll be a 3-round, pretty boring affair, if I do guess. And Gorimbo by decision.
Gorimbo $1.65, Luque $2.20. Makes sense there. Main event of the prelims, Dominic Reyes and Anthony Smith. Old Warhorse is back again, light heavyweight bout. Again, probably neither would shock, but at the moment we've got $3.60 Anthony Smith, $1.28 Reyes. Fair enough, but I suppose Smith just likes being the old dog that gets the one up occasionally. How have you lined him up?
I'm actually favouring Smith in this one. He's so well-rounded. He's so durable. We've seen him get his teeth knocked out mid-fight and continue fighting. Like, just make sure that tooth gets seen to. I'll pick it up later. He is well past his prime. This is the fight of both people who did or should have beat John Jones.
Yep.
Reyes beat him. Don't care what anybody says. Anthony Smith, that illegal knee while he was down, all he had to do was stay down and he's won the belt. Unfortunately, he's too tough for his own good and didn't want to win it that way. So has not become the light heavyweight champion. But at $3.60, he's got too many ways to win. Reyes, his chin has been questionable. He has definitely suffered the John Jones curse.
Yep.
Of people who fight him are not quite the same ever again. And Smith, although he's on the downhill slide in his career, he does have that ability to pull something out like he did against...
Yeah, the fight. I know, and I'm trying to... I'll tell you what. I was thinking of the exact same fight, and I can't think of his name. Petrino.
That's it, Vitor.
Yeah. And just decided he's going to remind everyone that he's not done yet.
Yep. It definitely didn't hurt that Vitor stuck his head into his armpit and just presented that guillotine for him. But I see him taking some shots and then going, wait, why am I doing this? I can wrestle. And then I'd have him by sub. And I think that could be close to $5. But if that is the case, I'll be jumping on it.
Yep. Okay, wow.
He could rock him within the first 30 seconds of the fight and then just jump on him and put him in an armbar or do. Smith has any number of finishes by sub. Or he could be on the back foot and then pull something out of his ass, much like a Paul Craig type.
Yep.
But Reyes being that short, that worries me, and I can't have any faith in him at that odds.
Just before, do you want to run through the early program was actually very good. The more I think about this, Kennedy Nechekwu against Lucas Preski. What's your take on this one?
Take is you got one of them right at least. Nzechukwu.
Mate,
Kenny Nunchucks.
You should have seen me on Footing for Authors this year. I was perfect.
Marky Mark.
Marky Mark.
Yeah, this
no Attackanazi. I got there right every time. Come on.
You did very well with that.
Thank you.
This is probably one of the best sorts of starts to a card you could want because it's not going to last long.
Yep.
Kenny Nunchucks is a glass cannon. He has absolute bombs in his hands, but he's also got a glass chin.
Yep.
And Brechke, although he's only 9-5 in his career, he is very, very similar built that if he gets onto you quickly, your lights are off. There's going to be nobody home, and you probably need a stretcher to get out of there. So I will be looking at the market for the fight to end in the first round. I don't see it going long at all. I will probably lean Enzuchuku,
Yep.
pending on the price of Kenny Nunchucks in the first round. I may jump on that.
Lightweight, but Clay Guida, who I guess he's almost moved more into coaching these days
Yes.
than full-time fighting, but he's been set up here with the young bloke Chase Hooper. Any hope for Clay?
No,
Yeah.
unfortunately.
Another showcase.
Yeah, I'm a big fan of Clay Guida. Watching his fight with Diego Sanchez, I've watched that fight back many times of the two of them standing against the cage and just swinging hooks at each other for 60 seconds straight. But the thing that gets him is that Chase has learnt how not to quit. His last fight, Slava Claus, Vyacheslav Borshev.
Yeah.
That fight was incredible and was very, very unlike Hooper, and that he was actually quite okay getting into the fire. Both of them much prefer getting things to the ground, and I think it's just a case of age has much wearied Clay.
Yes.
And Chase is still very young, very green, but his jiu-jitsu is of the highest level, and I think Hooper by sub is probably one of your bets.
Michael Chiesa, Max Griffin, another welterweight bout.
Kies has always been a favourite of mine because of the tattoo of the lion that he's got.
Yeah.
Sorry, the tiger. That was one of the first tattoos that I saw that went, oh, hello.
That's a proper tiger.
Yep. I would like to get some ink at some stage. But it actually surprises me that Max Griffin's had more fights than Chiesa. That's quite a shocking thing looking at it.
Yes. Chiesa's coming off beating Tony Ferguson, of course, actually. Yeah.
The ghost of Tony Ferguson.
The former Tony Ferguson, yeah.
I've probably got this going the distance. I wouldn't have any faith either way on who's actually going to win it. I think Chiesa's got the edge in the wrestling, but Griffin's got the edge with the hands. So it's as tried and true a trope as there is. Whoever implements their game plan will win.
Flyweight back Cody Durden, Josh Van is the next to our semi-main on the early prelims. Any take on this one?
This will be fun. Josh Van hasn't been in a boring fight. He's, again, very young. And he, unlike the vast majority of the people on the roster, loves to work the body. A couple of fights ago, he actually broke the record for body shots in a fight.
Yeah.
And, yeah, they look like they hurt. There's no light tapping, no tight jabs. They are full-blown shots. Cody Durden can be very hit and miss for me. What are the odds on this one?
I can only give you the Vegas odds. Plus 136 for Durden, minus 162 for Josh Van. So odds on Josh Van.
Yeah, I'd be jumping on Josh Van. Unsure yet as to whether he will finish him or not.
Yeah.
Probably leaning at going the distance, but pending the odds, I'd have Josh Van as a fairly sizable favourite, and this doesn't have it, so I'll be jumping on Van in one way, shape, or form.
And the main event for the early prelims is the rescheduled Weidman-Anders fight from 3 weeks ago. Hopefully everyone's in fit and healthy this time round. Chris Weidman obviously on the comeback trail again. What do you make of this?
I think this is a great fight for Weidman. He's the dog, but I don't know why. Both of them are very well past their primes, but Weidman at his prime won the middleweight title. Anders, I don't believe, was ever actually ranked. So whoever is closest to their prime really doesn't matter when Weidman's prime was so much better. He's the All-American. His wrestling is of a very, very high level, and I see this being a fairly boring 3-round decision to Weidman. Yeah, I say that with quite a bit of confidence.
We're going to go 3, get a clean decision.
Yep.
30-27.
Yeah, unless he starts slowly and Anders starts touching him up a bit, it'll be as close to a 30-27 across the board as you can get, I'd say.
Or you get one of those 29-28s, but feel comfortable because they give the first round a...
One round was close and the other two
Yeah,
were not.
yeah.
Yep.
Beautiful. That is our look through UFC 310. Gregory, you're right.
Yep.
Any other take? Anything you're looking forward to? And like I said, have you got a multi or something you want to pin your mask to? It could be as simple as Chris Weidman better than I, if that's what it needs to be.
I'm actually going to go for something that I'm quite certain on that it'll be Alexander Volkov straight up. I think Gane was exposed.
Are you getting $3.60
Yeah.
Volkov, which is a fantastic bet.
And going him heads up.
Knockout?
I'm not sure on that, but going him head to head, I'm pretty confident on that one being the most profitable bet I can make for the whole card.
Mm-hmm.
There's probably going to be some more assured bets. Gracie and Mitchell being an absolute clusterfuck would be paying $1.02. So, but yeah, I'm.
And is Anthony Smith? Does it smell a bit of value at 360 as well?
It smells a lot of value.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a lot of value in it, but I'm not as confident in that as I am Volkov.
Yeah.
But I may end up looking for sort of an underdog type multi, but I'm not certain on that until I have a look at what the actual markets are a bit closer.
Perfect. That has been the debut episode of UFC That. Good job. What? Any quick thoughts? And you're going to do an article for the website, I hope, for the fight night. Colby is fighting in a fortnight.
Joaquin Buckley?
Yes. Any early thoughts on that? Or are you going to save that for you till we get the full card and do a write-up for us?
No, at this stage, I think it's going to be fun because, leading up to it, especially being in Tampa, they're going to do the press conference and all that sort of stuff. And that press conference is going to be insane because Buckley has said some shit. What sort of shit it's been, it's just been shit. And we know exactly what Colby Covington does and what he's going to continue to do. So I think regardless of how the fight actually plays out, which will be solely determined on if Colby Covington actually shows up or not, as to how close or one-sided it is, that press conference is going to be something for the ages.
Look forward to that. I assume we'll be on the if you're in Australia, the Foxtel UFC channel has the press conference live now, which is always good. And any fight, well, apart from odds aside, anything you're really looking forward to this Sunday?
I think it could be Chris Weidman's last fight, actually.
Yeah, you think? Okay.
Yeah. He didn't actually come out and say it, but I think it would have been the plan for him to retire in New York.
Yeah.
At his home.
Check out showusyourtips.net. There's weekly racing tips with the Beaver and I. As I said, there'll be Supercoach and Rugby League coming up in the new year. Greg will be involved with Supercoach, top 1%. The 1%er of the group will be there. Dana will be around. Cal will probably step in and get involved with it as well. And Footy and Froth is returning in the new year. We've got Magic Moons coming up. Plenty of good stuff going on. Of course, if you want some sports photography and drone work, beergardensports.com also has you covered for all of that sort of stuff. Video editing, drone footage, team photos, everything good going on there.